Am I going to sit here and say she's fully faking? No, because I don't know that at all. I don't know who she is particularly, and I can't exactly judge someone off of some videos from YouTube.
This guy, I don't know, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Now, are these the faces of people that have zero issues? Does this look like a person with zero issues? You may be able to fool some of us with your TikToks, but there ain't no getting past that lie.
You're saying that they're claiming to have an issue, and they're saying, oh, they're faking that, which would mean that they don't have any problems. But then you're also saying that they're trying to fool you into thinking they have no issues, and they're faking that so they have a problem? Like, how are you gonna say both at the same time, while saying some of them might actually have it? Like, what is your point? Have you ever heard of lead by example? If you want people to be informative and spread awareness, why don't you make some videos actually spreading awareness? Why not say, you know, I actually covered DID. If you want to learn about it, I made a video here. Then there would be a little bit more legitimacy to you ridiculing people for not covering it effectively. So you can spend all this time talking shit about the way that people cover their mental illness that they're claiming to have. It's not even just random mental illnesses, but their own. But you won't cover it in the... So you want people to do something that you yourself can't fucking do, even though you're fully capable of doing it.
She claims that she does it for information purposes. Honestly, I find like a lot of people say that. It's a little bit gimmicky, I'm not gonna lie. Am I gonna sit here and say she's fully faking? No, because I don't know that at all. I don't know who she is particularly, and I can't exactly judge someone off of some videos from YouTube.
What if she actually is trying to bring awareness and inform people? Wouldn't this be pretty fucking dangerous for me to do? And wouldn't this discourage people who actually have it from doing the same? Because they're going to be hit with me and my clownish ass trying to talk shit about stuff that I, as I just said, don't understand. Hey everyone. So some of you guys have talked about the channel ABLAZE in my comments section, and while doing another video I stumbled across this one and I clicked around on a couple parts and I felt like I would have something to say if I watched it. So we'll see how this goes. But for those who don't know, I want to react to this because it shows how much time and care he puts into this kind of content. And it's a really serious topic. We're talking about disorders that surround trauma and affect real people's lives. And the big thing in all this that a lot of people don't think about is that when you have the topic of someone faking a disorder come up, you have people watching who don't know what the disorder is, so they're trying to get some sort of information. You have people who may know the creator and didn't know if the person was faking or not. You have people who don't know the creator and wonder if the creator's faking or not. This is their first time hearing about it. You have people who have the same disorder as the creator claims to have, and their disorder is legitimate. You have people who also have misdiagnosed themselves with that disorder. You have people who are faking that disorder as well watching, which is separate from the people who are misdiagnosing themselves. And there are far less people faking than there are people misdiagnosing themselves. That's an entire conversation that often gets looked over. Then you have people who are from Reddits like fake disorder cringe watching, or trolls, or people who want to have an excuse to pick on people for these kind of things. And then you also have medical professionals who stumble across these videos as well. All of those different groups have different perspectives. And what I'm noticing is that everyone who I've come across who talk about someone faking or exaggerating their disorder doesn't consider all of those perspectives when they're doing their video. They have one agenda, one perspective, one mindset, and then they'll kind of do the, well, this may or may not be the case. That's as far as they go into nuance on their perspective. Well, it might not.
Some of it might not be real. Might not be people faking, to be honest. But, you know, it is quite a place for entertainment.
This TikTok I have a problem with. I'm sorry. It's okay to enjoy these or even learn something new.
You made it sound like it's not okay because you just shat all over DissociaDID. All she did was make a little joke and you're like, well, that's not informing blah, 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 and it's blah, 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 blah. But now you want to sit here and walk back from what you just said and say, oh, it's okay because you're going through cognitive dissonance right now and you've pretty much fallen completely into doublethink, I think. Like, holy fuck. That's her choice. Instead of understanding the nuance, she said, I'll just argue both at the same time. And then they go on with their agenda. So I haven't seen this video. I don't know if that's what he's going to do, but just the fact that he seemed to have some sort of disbelief in the person who he'll be discussing in this video tells me that he's in that camp of people who talk about fake disorder cringe. So most likely he's going to be doing the same thing that I see everyone doing because they're all doing it. And I would be pleasantly surprised if he's actually very nuanced about his take on this video. I highly doubt it though. So let's get into it.
Sugar dependency disorder. Symptoms. Having a persistent
Let me put this on 125.
Sugar dependency disorder. Symptoms. Having a persistent craving for sugar or foods containing high amounts of sugar. Obsessiveness around sugar or foods containing high amounts of sugar. Having withdrawal-like symptoms. When one has...
Okay, I don't know where he's going with this, but just the fact that he's starting off like giggling and laughing about it, again, just tells me that he's likely one of these channels, but we'll see.
Doesn't consume high amounts of, and you've probably guessed it around about now, sugar. Irritability, fatigue, low mood, lack of motivation, and guys, our favorite symptom, although incredibly sad, etc. I just always tear up a little bit whenever I see that one. I could only imagine what it's like going through, etc. So incredibly sad. What's up, boys and girls? Welcome back to
That's it? Like, okay, well, let's go back. This is called sugar dependency disorder. Like, what was the point of that? Like, is that a real disorder? Hang on. What the fuck? Sugar dependency disorder. Unlike many other substance use disorders or behavioral compulsions, sugar addiction is often easy to spot. The clearest signs of sugar addiction involve consumption of large amounts of food or drink laden with sugar. The individual may eat constantly, eat to combat boredom, and become hyper and crash. Sugar addiction. Okay, but like... Okay, so let's go through this information real quick. There are a bunch of websites that talk about how sugar can be as addictive as actual drugs. So here it says, experts agree sugar might be as addictive as cocaine. Addiction is a strong word not typically applied to sugar, but it can be very difficult to stop eating sugar. It says here, a diet promoting dependency causes behavioral cross-sensitization to a low dose of amphetamine. Previous research in this laboratory has shown that a diet of intermittent excessive sugar consumption produces a state with neurochemical and behavioral similarities to drug dependency. Another one says, sugar addiction is real. Here's what's behind the science and how to quit. Nicole Avena Blanchard, PhD assistant professor of pharmaceutical sciences at this school. I don't know how to say it. She said, our studies show that there are neurochemical changes in the brain that occur when we overeat sugar that are similar to what is seen with addiction to drugs like alcohol or morphine. So we could go on and on about this subject, but yes, sugar is addictive. I can't believe that I even have to explain this. I thought that that was common knowledge at this point in 2024, but apparently not according to him, so I don't know. Not to mention that you can become addicted to anything. So again, he's just wrong on this. I'm gonna go back to whatever I was saying. Okay, so from what I was looking up, everything I found was just talking about how sugar is addicting. And there's a lot of evidence that supports that. I didn't see anything about sugar dependency disorder, so I can't tell if this like flag is some sort of like meme flag, you know, that's like making fun of like LGBT stuff, how they all have flags, and maybe it's like, oh, look at this disorder, now they have a flag and now they have their own disorder because you're addicted to sugar. But if it is a joke, it's like being addicted to sugar is a real thing. That's like doing a joke on people who are addicted to cocaine or crack, like, but that's an actual thing. And you would be dependent on it because you're addicted to it. It's a really bizarre way to start off a video. And if it's serious, I wonder if it's a joke because he was giggling through the whole thing. But if it's serious, I just couldn't find anything about it. So it's like, why not show some supporting evidence that you have towards it? We're already off to a terrible start is my point. How is this informing anyone of anything? It's already letting me know that this is someone who doesn't spend much time actually caring about the nuances of stuff. That's a red flag for me. We will see.
I just always tear up a little bit whenever I see that one. I could only imagine what it's like going through, etc. So incredibly sad. What's up, boys and...
Like, is it a joke? Like, it's so sad that someone's addicted to something and it's consuming their life? What's the joke? Like, addiction is real. Even addiction to certain foods is real. Like, I'm not understanding what's funny about it. Some people have crippling addictions towards certain foods that are really unhealthy for them and they could die if they eat too much of it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
And girls, welcome back to the ABLAZE channel. In today's video, we've got a good one. Believe me, you're going to want to stick around for the end. But before we get into any of that, I just wanted to show you this little carry on from what we...
So there's something really important at the end. I just want to make a mental note of that apparently it's really, really good and the ending is going to be so great in this 10-minute video. That's another red flag when these people make like a bunch of 10-minute videos and shit. It screams content factory with no passion, but we'll see.
I just wanted to show you this little carry on from what we saw in the last video. Now, as a lot of you probably have seen around about now, there has been almost like a DID con, you know, like a hub for people that have mental illnesses. And hey, look, I get it. That sounds awful that we're almost making fun of that. But the catch is like these people, if they do,
since you're saying the truth about DissociaDID in the title, and then you show a bunch of people that's not DissociaDID, what's your point? Like, why would you put that in association with her if she's not in the video? And it says systems and singlets from all over the world in the community finally coming together in a safe space and connecting. Okay.
The catch is like these people, if they do have these disorders, are really playing up for the camera and have found a way to monetize their symptoms and disorders. And I'm sure there's definitely a few here sprinkled in that don't have it. For example, I know one of them has a cameo.
Okay, but you realize that you are monetizing, criticizing people who you just said might have it. You do realize that that's harmful, right? And associating them with fakers. You're making money off of that and gaining clout and fame and all that. I'm pretty sure that that's a lot worse than someone monetizing their own disorder. And you have to remember, we're talking about DID. It's hard for people to keep jobs who have DID because they switch, and the ones that they switch to may not know that they have a job or can't function at the job. It's hard to drive when you have DID. It's literally hard to function. There's a lot of people who have DID who do need government benefits because they can't function like a normal person, like it's a debilitating disorder. And there's some people who can function with it. There's a whole spectrum of it. But if you are having a hard time functioning with DID and you don't want to get government assistance or you can't get it or whatever, what's wrong about monetizing your life experience? Like, nobody says that about anything else. They're not like, oh, well, this person likes to make paintings, you're going to make money off of that. Oh, this person likes to make music, you're going to monetize that. This person likes to share their opinions online, you're going to monetize that. Like, people are allowed to share their opinions that they've developed throughout their life, which involve the trauma that they've received, that's warped their views of the world. You're allowed to monetize that. But if you have a disorder and you want to talk about the disorder and inform people on the disorder, it's bad to monetize that. You're supposed to do it for free when that's a very time-consuming thing to do. You would not have the time to effectively inform people of that and work a full-time job and do everything else that you want to do with your life. You kind of have to pick one or the other in most cases. So this false narrative that it's bad to monetize your disorder if you're trying to inform people or spread awareness, it doesn't make any sense. Would you rather people just show off the disorder and not try to educate and make money? Like, if you're gonna make money off of something, at least try to help people along the way. I don't see what's wrong with that. It's a really dangerous false narrative to promote. So again, we're off to like the worst start right now, and he hasn't even gotten started.
Example, I know one of them has a cameo where I'm sure there's definitely a few here.
Let me change the quality. Gotta put it here.
Sprinkled in that don't have it. For example, I know one of them has a cameo where you can ask which alter you want to send the cameo. Sounds like a bit like a scam to me if I've ever heard one. Well, anyway, here is a don't have it. For example, their symptoms and disorders, and I'm sure there's definitely a few here sprinkled in that don't have it. For example, I know one of them has a cameo where you can ask which alter you want to send the cameo. Sounds like a bit like a scam to me if I've ever heard one.
Okay, but based off of what, like, this is what I'm talking about. I say these people who try to show that someone is faking or that they're lying, they do it in the most haphazard way possible. Oh, well, somebody wants their alter to make a cameo. That sounds fake to me. But experts have said that there are people who have control over their switching. I'll show the clip here.
Make a video in which it's like, so some of the people were making videos in which they were rapidly switching. They would be recording and they'd be in one alter and then boom, they would be another alter and then boom, another alter. And that's possible, but it's not very likely. It's certainly possible, and I can't know for sure. I mean, certainly there are some people like that. And some people actually have a lot of control over their switching.
Now, the difference is this guy isn't showing any clips. He's not showing who he's referencing. He's not showing any evidence to support why he thinks this way. He's just sharing random thoughts that comes into his head. And this is supposed to give a legitimate criticism. How? And this isn't dangerous. You making money off of this is not dangerous. But what they're doing is bad. It literally doesn't make sense.
Well, anyway, here is another video from them all meeting up the other day.
Admit it, Benson. No, you're not cool. How about now, Benson?
He's saying, I understand it's a real disorder and some people have it. Yeah, well, a lot of people have it. Yeah, it's a small percentage of the population, but a lot of people fucking have it. And of course, they will want to share their experience on social media because they want to find like-minded people like that group you showed. There are people who would like to meet up with more people who are like them so that they can feel more normal. That's what people do. When people have an interest, they meet up. But when people also go through similar things, they meet up. Like somebody who went to prison might befriend someone else who's been to prison because it's something they can both understand. Somebody who worked at sea will find someone else who works at sea and maybe they'll understand each other. Someone who likes to dance might meet another dancer and be friends. It's the same thing with trauma. Somebody who's a veteran might have a friend who's also a veteran because they can understand the experience. So yes, somebody with DID would likely want to meet someone else with DID to find some sort of camaraderie or some level of mutual understanding about their experiences that other people can't relate to. That's normal. And you're not crazy for wanting that.
Now, I gotta be honest, if Satan himself crawled out through the depths of hell and gave me 2 choices, he said, Papa Ablaze, you could either spend hell in eternity or 1 minute in this room. You guys can probably guess what I'm gonna pick. This looks like hell. Just this screenshot alone makes me feel very uncomfortable. Let's have a look to see what they said. Therapists like symptom alone make...
He said this screenshot alone makes me feel uncomfortable. It's, again, you're just... So, you said earlier in your video, we're going off of what you said, that some of these people might actually have it. He said it in, like, the most dismissive, passive-aggressive, problematic way possible, but he still acknowledged that there's plenty of them who could actually have it. Because he said a few are faking it.
DID con, you know, like a hub for people that have mental illnesses. And hey, look, I get it. That sounds awful that we're almost making fun of that. But the catch is like these people, if they do have these disorders, are really playing up for the camera and have found a way to monetize their symptoms and disorders. And I'm sure there's definitely a few here sprinkled in that don't have it.
And then you're making fun of people who actually have disorders for being in a room together. Like, again, why are you saying that? Because they're making some silly faces as if people don't do that when they take pictures together. It's a very normal thing to do. The person in the middle is dressed up differently from everyone else because that's something that she wanted to do. But I don't understand how that is an example of it being... They're literally comfortable together. And then you make fun of them anyway. For doing what? Like, they're not doing anything. And this is what's happening all across social media, is that people see people acting in a way that they wouldn't, so they make fun of them. You're literally bullying people for being different. It would be different if this clip was somehow hurting people. If you said this is dangerous because this and this and that, and here's a telltale sign, I mean, they look so uncomfortable because they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, I can get behind that. But you're just saying, look at them, aren't they so weird and uncomfortable? Isn't this hell? What is this helping? How are you helping anyone with anything? While ridiculing people who are trying to spread awareness, what are you spreading? You're spreading the encouragement of harassing people for being themselves. Under the guise of, well, they might be faking. Some of them might. Some of them might want attention. Even if they actually have it, they're all playing it up. How do you know that? And in what context are they playing it up? None of that justifies your commentary.
Makes me feel very uncomfortable. Let's have a look to see what they said. Therapists like symptoms getting together is dangerous. And then the bit that kills me, all these symptoms, 0 issues. Now, are these the faces of people that have 0 issues?
They're making silly faces. And you're saying, are these the faces of people who have 0 issues? Like, and in the clip,
all these symptoms.
When they say all these systems, 0 issues, like, oh my God, this is like, it's like this person hasn't ever heard of hyperbole. When they're saying 0 issues, most likely what they're talking about is the issues that the therapist has referred to, like how systems can traumatize each other and things like that. And they're like, well, we're not traumatized, it's actually helping us. Also, DID is wildly misunderstood because it's a rare disorder, so they still have a lot to learn about it. So when they're saying they have 0 issues, and then you're saying, oh, these people look like they have 0 issues, I mean, they just said they have DID. So it's obvious that they don't actually believe they have no issues in the world whatsoever, else they wouldn't claim to have DID. So that absolute that you're putting on them is not what they mean, which means they're clearly being hyperbolic in the context that you're referring to. They meant 0 issues as in the issues that the therapists are referring to that will occur when they meet up. Those specific issues. And unless you're going to do the research and find out what those issues are and dive into it, you just made a non-opinion. I mean, it blows my mind that I even have to explain it. And the saddest thing is, I feel like people like that and his fans will hear that information and it goes right over their head. So you proved nothing with what you just said. Jesus Christ.
Zero issues. Now, are these the faces of people that have zero issues? Does this look like a person with zero issues? Yeah. Okay, bro. You may be able to fool some of us with your TikToks, but there ain't no getting past that lie.
That's again, it's just to support this false narrative. They're trying to fool us into thinking that so you're saying that they're claiming to have an issue and they're saying, oh, they're faking that, which would mean that they don't have any problems. But then you're also saying that they're trying to fool you into thinking they have no issues and they're faking that so they have a problem. Like, how are you gonna say both at the same time while saying some of them might actually have it? Like, what is your point? You're literally not making a point. Like, I can't believe we're only 2.5 minutes into this video. Shit's fucking exhausting.
And I'd hate to be in that room. To even know what it smelled like. It's like I can almost smell the room through the candle.
So now you're gonna call them smelly because you just don't vibe with the way that they're presenting themselves? This guy is the last guy who can talk about people looking smelly. Does this guy look clean to you? Like, you don't, like, what?
And I've had that in my comments like plenty of times before, saying stuff like to do with a lot of the mental health topics that we talk about on this channel.
Who the fuck are you to call anybody anything that's not hygienic? You just look unkept. You're talking about someone else. Like, what? Holy shit.
And it's not making me feel very good. Let's move on to the next video. Whoa, guys, that is actually insane. Isn't that crazy? Mask vs unmask. Whoa. My guy literally just set up a camera and then changed his facial expression and is like, this is what it's like when I unmask. Why do my guy look like Butters from South Park as well? Just not as funny. It's nice to see that there's loads of information just bouncing around TikTok still to this day of stuff that honestly really makes no fucking sense. Now,
it's not a point. I'm so tired of people like not making points and pretending that it was a point. If somebody shows a face and says, this is what it looks like when I'm masking, and this is what it looks like when I'm unmasking, and you disagree with that, you then have to say why, if you're going to sit here and make a video and try to disprove someone. And again, the title is The Truth About DissociaDID. None of this has anything to do with DissociaDID. So right now you're priming your audience to be very skeptical and accepting to harassment, unjustified harassment. That's not the same as saying that he's consciously trying to do that, because people convince themselves of all sorts of stuff all the time. They can constantly convince themselves that they're not doing something that they're actively doing. I don't care if he knows what he's doing. He just spent the past 3.5 minutes priming his audience to be skeptical, to make fun of people for no reason, to just listen to what he says and be okay with it and find it all funny. It's fun to see me put down all these people for no reason, and to just accept information that has no basis, because you've given no basis. If I'm gonna say that somebody is wrong, or as he said,
and just bouncing around TikTok still to this day of stuff that honestly really makes no fucking sense.
Bouncing around stuff that makes no sense, then I would say why it doesn't make sense. Do you even know what masking is? Because you sound like you don't know what it is, and you just said it doesn't make sense, right? So do you even know what it is? Because that's the first piece of evidence towards believing someone doesn't know what something means, is if they say the thing doesn't make sense. Unless you can counter it, then I'm going to assume that you don't even know what it is. So you're going to make fun of somebody, how they present themselves, how they look, all of that, them having fun, because you don't know what they're talking about. That's pretty fucking stupid.
Now everyone, please be quiet. Shut up. DissociaTID has uploaded a very new and interesting video. There's a lot of controversy around...
We're just gonna get right into it. That was just the most randomest fucking segue I've ever seen in my life. We're just gonna get right into DissociaDID after giving a bunch of non-opinions. All right.
This individual, but like anyone that's been watching my channel for a while, would need absolutely no introduction with her. With her even being on a show with Anthony Badiaz and doing an interview with him, she is probably one of the most popular content creators out there that surrounds her channel and primarily talks about nothing but DID. She's made it a whole channel based. She claims that she does it for...
I mean, the name of the channel is DissociaDID, so why would she not talk about DID?
Information purposes. Honestly, I find like a lot of people say that. She claims that she does it for information purposes. Honestly, I find like a lot of people say that. It's a little bit gimmicky, I'm not gonna lie.
Because, like, you know, they're saying that they want to help people, that they want to do something that's not just about themselves, but that's what they all say, though. But she just did it, though.
Having DID isn't the end of the world, but it's also not a happy disorder to have, not that any are. DID is created due to repeated childhood trauma. In a lot of cases, this is extremely severe and repeated childhood abuse.
That's part of normalizing and spreading awareness. is saying all the different ways that it shouldn't be perceived. That's a big part of it.
She claims that she does it for information purposes. Honestly, I find like a lot of people say that. It's a little bit gimmicky, I'm not gonna lie. Am I gonna sit here and say she's fully faking? No.
What does that even mean, to say that you're not gonna say someone is fully faking? So are you saying that people can have fake DID, like they have it, but they're faking it for the lulz? What does that even mean? He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just talking out of his ass.
She claims that she does it for information purposes. Honestly, I find like a lot of people say that. It's a little bit gimmicky, I'm not gonna lie. Am I gonna sit here and say she's fully faking? No, because I don't know that at all. I don't know who she is particularly, and I can't exactly judge someone off of some videos from YouTube.
But you are judging. You are judging. I'm so tired of these fucking people. It's just like with Campbell. He's like, some of these people might not be faking it.
Also, don't hate anyone in this video. Don't bully anyone in this video that is kind of perpetuating this thing. Don't attack too much.
Don't attack anybody while I attack them. This guy, I don't know, but I'm gonna do it anyway. For a second, does it cross your mind to think, well, what if they actually do have it? This would be pretty fucked up of me to do, right? If it's legitimate. What if she actually is trying to bring awareness and inform people? Wouldn't this be pretty fucking dangerous for me to do? And wouldn't this discourage people who actually have it from doing the same? Because they're going to be hit with me and my clownish ass trying to talk shit about stuff that I, as I just said, don't understand, while giving no basis or any evidence for my opinions. I'm pretty sure that that would discourage people from making the kind of content I want to see. Because what you want to see is for people to legitimately promote awareness and legitimately inform.
She claims that she does it for information purposes. Honestly, I find like a lot of people say that. It's a little bit gimmicky, I'm not gonna lie.
But when the few people who do get ridiculed by people like you in the way that you're doing it, with no information, and people support it en masse like they are, then how are you gonna get the thing that you're looking for? Have you ever heard of lead by example? If you want people to be informative and spread awareness, why don't you make some videos actually spreading awareness? Why not say, you know, I actually covered DID. If you want to learn about it, I made a video here. Then there would be a little bit more legitimacy to you ridiculing people for not covering it effectively. So you can spend all this time talking shit about the way that people cover their mental illness that they're claiming to have. It's not even just random mental illnesses, but their own. But you won't cover it so you want people to do something that you yourself can't fucking do, even though you're fully capable of doing it. And they are doing it objectively more than you are. They are objectively informing people more than you are so far, because you've not shown any information. They're objectively spreading more awareness of acceptance for it than you are, because you've ridiculed and made fun of and put down every single person you've shown so far. So you're complaining that you're not seeing the type of content that you're making the exact antithesis of. The exact content that would discourage the kind of content that you're ridiculing them for not doing well enough. It's just backwards bullshit. 4 minutes in.
I don't know that at all. I don't know who she is particularly, and I can't exactly judge someone.
I'm gonna talk about someone even though I don't know who she is particularly. How are you gonna say she's well known on your channel, but then say you don't know who she is? I can't judge that. Then why are you doing it? I better not see you doing it, since you said you can't do it, right?
One off of some videos from YouTube, obviously, it goes without saying. But there are definitely things that I want to point out. And hey, even me just saying that has probably absolutely offended some people. Like, but Blaze, you just said you're not going to judge it, and now you're going to judge? Oh, believe me, you would as well if you hear some of the stuff. So in this...
But you're ignoring the point. If somebody says, Blaze, you're going to say you're not going to judge anyone, but you're going to judge her, then you just lied. I'm not going to make fun of this person, then I go and make fun of them. That's a lie. I'm not going to judge this person, then I'm going to go judge them. That's a lie if you say that. I'm not going to rob this bank and then you go and rob the bank. That was a lie. That's what lies are. So you just lied to everybody while trying to call someone else a liar, while admitting that you don't even know if she's faking. So you're openly admitting and priming your audience to accept the fact that you might be completely wrong, but you're going to do it anyway, and that should be okay. And you're going to ridicule people who look at you for saying, how are you going to do this? Which is obviously wrong. If you don't know if someone's faking, you just said you don't have the right to say this stuff about them. And then you go on to do it anyway. And someone says, hey, that's fucked up. You're like, yeah, of course you'd say that. Yeah, because why else would you say that you don't have the right to do it? Unless it's not right. I can't judge that because it's not right. And people fall for this stupid shit. It blows my fucking mind.
This video she uploaded yesterday, Meet MERMAID alter, a non-human alter. And the thing that I always have a big issue with when it comes to this certain type of content is the fact that in this video, she then talks about like her disorder and talks about what it's like having a non-human alter, which apparently is real.
Which apparently is real. You do realize that you're using the internet, right? To watch the video. So why don't you use the internet to look up if that's a real thing? Like, I can't believe I'm watching this right now. You are so uninformed on this disorder that you don't even know that having non-human alters are real or not. Then why are you talking about it? You can just listen to her for yourself since he's not going to play what she said.
Wanting to fly in various different forms, not always human. If a child imagines, for example, wanting to fly away from the trauma and abuse, if only, say, their favourite character, which was a fairy or something like that, could come and save them. While they're dissociating from that trauma, their brain may imagine them being able to fly away, and alters may take that form. Other non-human alters may be formed because the child is being made to feel less than human, or being told that they're just an animal. The dehumanization and breaking of children who go through extreme trauma is what makes alters present as what they are. It's important to remember that any alter you see...
Like, he literally thought it was unlikely that she would have a mermaid alter, and she just explained that depending on the circumstance, of course a kid will come up with a mythical creature that can save them from something. Why would they not? Like, I can't believe that we are promoting to the masses that you should ridicule something that you have no understanding of. How are people not seeing that that's the dumbest fucking thing you can do and the most dangerous way to critique anything? That's like somebody with no taste buds going into a restaurant and judging the food and then leaving a review on how it tastes. Like, you don't know what it tastes like, so you can't talk about it. That's like somebody who's never seen any piece of media whatsoever in their life. They have no frame of reference for what is or isn't a good movie, gives a review on a movie. Like, if you have no understanding of what the thing is, then you objectively have no legitimacy to talk about it. You have the right to talk about it, but you have no legitimacy, and you're actually gonna sit here and insult everyone's intelligence and push the idea that you can. Let's look this shit up. I'm inserting this. I'm gonna show you guys a few websites, but here it says non-human alters are parts of individuals with dissociative identity disorder that see themselves as animals, fantasy creatures, or hybrids. Like all other alters, non-human alters are the result of trauma and an already severely dissociative mind. When a child is still young enough to first develop alters, they do not yet have a firm grasp of what is or is not possible, so they, and by extension the alters that are forming from their mind, might not understand that the entirety of themselves is and always will be human. Once some alters have been formed as non-humans, this sets a precedent that allows splits later in life to take the same or similar forms because the brain understands how such a thing can be possible according to internal logic. There are many potential reasons for non-human alters to be created as they are. And if you look at DissociaDID's video, I'll show this clip real quick for context, where she says,
a child, like in our case, might imagine a mermaid coming to save them from drowning. So while we do have flashbacks to water-related trauma and abuse in bathrooms, I don't hold those memories all the time. But if we experience a flashback, which we often do when we need to shower or bathe, I'm the best person to deal with it, because other people may panic, reliving those experiences, believing that they're drowning or they're going to die. It doesn't affect me as much because, being a mermaid, it's impossible for me to drown. While I know logically that the body can drown, the safety that's been built in my mind when I was created as a child helps us survive and process those experiences, and allows us to keep the body clean, and to shower and to bathe, and be functional.
And just like it says here at DIDresearch.org, the brain understands how such a thing can be possible according to internal logic, which she described in her video. So it's very accurate to the actual information, while this guy's misinforming the whole thing. So that's the end of this insert. I'm gonna get back to whatever I was saying at this point with the other websites. So, types of alters. types of alter personality parts in dissociative identity disorder. And you can see the list here, but when it comes to the uncommon list, it clearly says animal alter, baby and infant alter, caretaker / soother, demon, demonic, an evil alter, fragment, military or political alter, non-human alter, robot or machine alter, shell, spirit, ghost, supernatural, being alters, subparts. That's part of the list. And then it specifically says these alters see themselves as non-human and may be unaware they are part of a human mind. They are mentioned in the lengthy DSM-5 DID section. So it's in the DSM-5 that people can have non-human alters. And then here it says non-human alters. Alters are the result of severe dissociation. They are constructed by the logic of dream or trance and can be strongly influenced by a person's culture. As a result, alters can take any form. Some alters may not view themselves as human and may either feel or fully believe that they are not part of a human being. They may view themselves as having a different physical form or no physical form at all. For example, a spiritual being. This is recognized within the DSM-5's description of DID.
She claims that she does it for information purposes. Honestly, I find like a lot of people say that. It's a little bit gimmicky, I'm not gonna lie.
If there is repeated childhood trauma before those ages, there is a chance that a child who can already dissociate to a high level can develop DID. Essentially what this means is that the child's mind puts up amnesia barriers, dissociative barriers, that stops the child from remembering the abuse or trauma that they're experiencing and allows them to go about and live their life, their daily life, without the horrendous knowledge of what's happening to them. Because of this amnesia and these dissociative barriers that have been put up in the brain to protect the consciousness from the memory and awareness of the trauma that they're experiencing, when it's time for the personality to fully integrate around the ages of 7 to 9, there are blockages there. That means that instead of developing one cohesive, fully formed personality, multiple personalities are formed, multiple states of identity, some which remember and experience the trauma or abuse, and some that don't. And those parts are able to live a normal daily life without being encumbered by the awareness of the trauma that they are or were experiencing as children. We have been twice professionally diagnosed with DID, and we share our experiences of it here to try and raise awareness as much as possible. Today, one of our alters, MURMER, has filmed an introduction and meet the alters video for you. It's important to remember that most alters are created by a child's mind. The child's mind will latch onto whatever it feels it needs to survive. That means that alters can come in various different forms, not always human. If a child...
She literally explains how someone can come up with a non-human alter. And he's still like, well, it doesn't make any sense to me. Did you watch the video? We know you didn't do any research, because if you did, you know it's in the DSM-5.
Video she uploaded yesterday, Meet MERMAID alter, a non-human alter. And the thing that I always have a big issue with when it comes to this certain type of content is the fact that in this video, she then talks about like her disorder and talks about what it's like having a non-human alter, which apparently is real.
So not only that, this is the actual information. And again, it's in the DSM-5. But even aside from that, if we just use our common sense, okay, for people like ABLAZE who don't like to do basic fucking research to learn definitions of things and meanings and shit, doesn't want any backing for any of the shit he has to say. For people who just have common sense, you would think, well, if all of this is in their head and they believe they have multiple identities in their head, DissociaDID is not 8 people doing a channel together, sitting next to each other and talking at the same time. It's one body with multiple identities. That's every person with DID. So wouldn't it make sense that it's in your head and that you're visualizing and coming up with concepts in your brain? That's not too far from coming up with non-human concepts. They have different ages, for God's sake. But they're in the body of someone with one age. Means that it's in their head. They're constructing these identities in their head. So why do you think it's not believable that someone could have a non-human alter? Again, it's basic common sense, so he doesn't even have that. So at this point, I'm gonna stop the video here and continue the rest in the next part, because this was most of the information that I needed to correct with sources from the internet and things like that. But now that I got all the fact checking out the way, I can just address all the stupid shit that he continues to say in the next part, which is much worse. Like, this is nothing in comparison to the rest of the video. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support. Thank you for commenting, and I will see you all next time.